Today on Math All Day with Kurt and Dre, we're going to talk about multiplying fractions. What's the easy way? Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about multiplying a fraction by a fraction the easy way. There's other ways to multiply fractions by fractions. We can do visuals, you can do repeated addition with fraction times a whole, but this is the quickest and easiest way I've found to find the correct answer on assessments or homework or quizzes, whatever you need. And these are the 4 steps that you got to follow for every multiplication of a fraction times a fraction. Step 1 is to line up your problems horizontally. Remember, horizontally means side by side, going this way. The next step, I'll put a blue star next to it. Simplify opposite numerators and denominators. You don't have to do that. I'm going to show you a way that might give you smaller numbers to multiply. So you can kind of skip that if you don't want to do it. But step 1, line up the problems horizontally. Step 2, multiply your numerators. Step 3, multiply your denominators. And step 4 is to simplify. You have to simplify. If you're in 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, they don't even ask you for a simplified answer most of the time. They're just going to expect that you know how to do that. So following these 4 steps, today I went ahead and set up all the problems horizontally for you, or for us. But let's look at number 1. We have the problem 2/6 times 4/8. Now you should know that when you multiply a fraction by a fraction, you're going to get a pretty small number. I'm going to start with my numerators, which is my 2 and my 4. 2 times 4 is 8. And then I look at my denominators. 6 times 8 is 48. And I have my answer. Now, it's not my final answer. I need to think, is there anything I could divide both 8 and 48 by? Now, this is where knowing your factors is going to help you out quite a bit. My factors of 8, 1 times 8, 2 times 4. So my 4 factors are 1, 8, 2, and 4. Factors of 48, much bigger number. I can multiply 1 times 48. I can multiply 2 times 24. I can multiply 4 times 12. I can multiply 8 by 6. The largest factor they both have in common would be 8. So 8 divided by 8 is 1, and 48 divided by 8 is 6. So my final simplified answer is 1/6. And notice, this number is smaller than what we started with. Number 2, same concept. You're going to start with your numerators, my 3 and my 1. 3 times 1 is 3. I'm going to start with go to my denominators. 7 times 5 is 35. And I ask myself, can I simplify it? The only factors that 35 and 3 have in common are 1. That does me no good. 3 divided by 1 is 3. 35 divided by 1 is 35. So this is my final simplified answer. Now what we did is we followed the 4 steps. Line up the problems horizontally, multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and simplify. But on the next handful of problems, we're going to look back to this blue star, where we simplify our opposite numerators and our opposite denominators. So what would that look like? You can't do it every time, but if you can, it's going to save you some bigger multiplication problems. So looking at number 3, 6/10 times 4/12. I know my answer is going to be smaller than 6/10, but what will my answer be? Well, I'm going to look at my opposite numerators and denominators. So I'm going to look at this 6 and this 12. And I'm going to ask myself, is there anything that can go into both 6 and 12? Anything I could divide 6 and 12 by? I could divide 6 by 6. I could divide 6 by 3. And I can divide 6 by 2. For the number 12, I can divide 12 by 6. I can divide 12 by 12. I can divide 12 by 3 and 12 by 4. The biggest, though, that they both have in common is 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. And then I put blue dots, my opposite numerators and denominators. What can I divide both 4 and 10 by? I can divide 4 by 2, I can divide 10 by 2, but that's pretty much it. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So now I have much smaller numbers to multiply. 1 times 2 is 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Now once I get here, I got to go back to step 4, which is to simplify. 2/10, even though we simplified before, once we multiplied 2/10 also can be simplified. Divide 2 by 2, which is 1. Divide 10 by 2, which is my final answer of 5. Now, especially with these bigger fractions, like, look, I have a 15 down here for my opposite denominator. That's a big number. I don't want to multiply 9 by 15. I can do it, but it's not really enjoyable. But I can simplify, see what can go into 5 and 15. Well, 5 divided by 5 is 1. 15 divided by 5 is 3. That's the biggest thing that'll go into both. And then I can look at my blues. What can go into 6 and 9? The biggest thing that can go in, and the only thing other than 1, is 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And I can look and multiply across. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 3 is 6. Can that be simplified? Yes. I can divide both of these by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now what I actually want you to do is I want you to look at 5/10 times 2/3, in whichever way that you want to, whether it's simplifying the opposite or it's just multiplying across and simplifying at the end. I want you to multiply it, come up with your answer, come up with your simplified answer, see what you get, and maybe on a sheet of paper in a comment, let me know how it went for you. Thanks for stopping by.